Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Hi to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's 6 p.m. in Douala and it's time for the news. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories this evening: shock and consternation in Ubel as at least 2 children have been confirmed dead here in Douala from food poisoning allegedly. Over 50 others have been hospitalized. The children reportedly consumed locally made biscuits known as galettes from the hands of an individual well known to them and the community. It was not the first time the said individual was offering galettes to the children. Investigations are going on and our reporters were in Ubel today. We will be telling you what really happened in this news edition. And Cameroon's Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Bakari, reportedly resigns from the government. We will be expatiating on the reasons for such a decision few months to elections in Cameroon, still in this news edition. Viewers, those are our lead stories. Details and more when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin with this element. We just told you in the headlines that the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Minister Bakari, reportedly resigns from the government. And Barilla Jonathan, in the report which comes up next, takes a look at the political journey of Bakari, takes us from his days of an outspoken and vibrant opposition leader through the days of a regime supporter and then back to the initial position. His report.
L'histoire de cette période jusqu'à présent n'a été écrite que par les turiféraires du régime.
From a hard critic of the Biya regime to a member and defender of the same regime and back to the initial position.
Monsieur Biya ne peut pas prendre le Cameroun de la prospérité, comme lui-même il a dit, le ramener à la misère.
With the news of his resignation from government, Bakari seems to have completed the political cycle.
Le président Biya parle tout le temps de la réconciliation. Il ne la veut pas, il ne veut pas de cette réconciliation.
In the initial position of a critic, Bakari, as president of the National Salvation Front, lambasted the Biya regime, blaming it for the poor socio-economic and security situation of the country. He later became a strong defender of the same regime as Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson, to the point of saying,
le chef de l'État, de par son omniprésence, se trouve partout où se trouvent les intérêts de la nation.
The regime leader, President Paul Biya, is omnipresent.
Il est présent, il est omniprésent.
And then denying the existence of an Anglophone problem in Cameroon.
There is no Anglophone problem in this nation.
Bakari, however, made it clear that
Je n'ai signé aucun contrat, aucune convention.
He and his party had not signed any deal with neither the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, nor the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, emphasizing that the collaboration with the regime was the result of a decision based on political calculations and happenings in the country. And now he backtracks with his decision to quit his position as Minister of Employment and Vocational Training after giving signals of a rupture between his party and the CPDM few months to the presidential election.
And the reported resignation of Minister Bakari brings the number to 4. The total number of ministers in Cameroon who have banged the door from the regime. Before him, 3 other ministers had earlier done so. They include Garga, Arman Aji, Titus Edouard, and Professor Maurice Kamto between 1882 up till today. A chronology of their resignation from their ministerial positions in the report which comes up next by Innocent Aze.
Bakari, founder founder of the Cameroon National Salvation Front, CNSF party, becomes the fourth minister to resign from the Biya regime between 1982 and 2025. He tabled his resignation letter from the post of Minister of Employment and Vocational Training to the Prime Minister on June 23rd, few months to the presidential election. This detachment from the CPDM and Biya regime has aroused reactions on his motives. Political ambitions believed will somehow fragilize the ruling CPDM party his CNSF was allied to. Being the fourth of this rare resignation of ministers in Cameroon, Garga Haman Aji, who served as Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reforms, became the first to have parted ways with the Biya regime precisely on August 27, 1992, when Cameroonians were preparing for the first presidential election since return to multipartyism. Garga Haman Aji was bitterly criticized by members loyal to the regime. He, however, enjoyed freedom of movement and expression. With his party, Alliance for Democracy and Development, he was able to stand as candidate for the 2004, 2011 and 2018 presidential elections in Cameroon. The second minister to resign is Titus Edzwa, the one-time Secretary General in the Presidency of the Republic from July 1993 to September 1996, and the president's former medical doctor decided to step on the footprints of Garga Haman Aji on April 20, 1997 by resigning from his function as Minister of Public Health, a position he occupied less than a year after being fired from the post of Secretary General in the Presidency of the Republic while in Europe. Returning from France on April 20, 1997, unhappy with the new assignment, he announced his resignation 8 months after his ejection from the presidency and after serving the president for 14 years. Unfortunately for him, he was incarcerated at the State Secretariat for Defense since 18 years. The third member of government who bravely dashed out of the canoe is Professor Maurice Kamto, national president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party, today a major opposition figure criticizing the Biya regime. On November 30, 2011, the main opposition strongman in Cameroon resigned as minister delegate to the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Justice of Cameroon, a position he occupied from 2004 to 2011. His decision came a month after the presidential election. In a statement announcing his resignation, he pledged to bring his contribution to the emergence of Cameroon through peaceful and republican principles. This saw him run as candidate in the 2018 presidential election, in which he came second. He is sure to unseat President Paul Biya in the October 2025 presidential election, though his eligibility to run is being challenged.
Now let's get the reaction of some civil society actors and also political analysts on the reported resignation of Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari from the Biya government.
One of the most popular hypotheses advanced within public opinion in Cameroon after the announced resignation of Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari is that he might be out to fragment the opposition and disperse opposition voices in favor of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement.
No, it cannot be a strategy of the CPDM, because if Issa Chiroma is resigning, it gives a bad image with respect to the alliance that he had with the ruling CPDM. Because if something is good, then you will not back out from it. It portrays something is not well, something is not going on well. Things are probably no longer moving. So it doesn't appear to be a trick or a strategy of the ruling CPDM.
Like Musokolocas, Cotton Prince will believe that Issa Chiroma Bakari's move is motivated by the unresolved problems of his north region of origin and Cameroon in general. Both Cotton Prince will and Musokolocas say that Issa Chiroma could have been motivated by what they call a wave of rising voices from different regions of Cameroon.
Even the people of the South region, where President Biya himself is an origin, they are also agitating and they are also deciding to no longer vote the ruling CPM. So it's becoming nationwide. You already know very well clearly that the Northwest and the Southwest region, from an honest perspective, cannot be a good alliance with the ruling CPDM, especially with respect to the ongoing Anglophone war, where a lot of of people from the northern and southern have been killed.
Considering his close to 2 decades alliance with President Paul Biya, Cameroonians are increasingly curious about what Issa Chiroma Bakari's next field actions will look like. For me, I'm Sean Sander, Equinoxe Radio.
The sudden resignation of Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari has sent shockwaves somehow through the city of Yaounde, with a tense atmosphere prevailing around the ministerial building as the city grapples with the implications. One question dominates the conversation: what does this mean for Cameroon's future, especially with the presidential election looming in October? Immaculate Fogwe spoke to some Yaounde city dwellers and now brings us their reactions or opinions in this report.
Hours after Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari's resignation from the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training, the atmosphere around the ministerial building in Yaounde was tense. A team from Equinoxe TV was denied access to the premises, sparking curiosity about the impact of the resignation on the ministry's activities. As people in Yaounde shared their thoughts on the resignation, opinions were divided. Some saw the move as timely, believing it will bring about positive change.
The northern part of Cameroon is marginalized and the roads are still in poor condition. I believe this is a step towards change. I think he has a reason for resigning, but I'm not convinced it will change anything. Perhaps in Garwa, he can make a difference. I don't think he has significant influence as a political leader. He's mature enough to know what is best for him. With his long experience in politics, he understands how it works. I think he has other plans.
A resident notes that the entire government needs to be overhauled for Cameroonians to experience real change and escape what they perceive as poor governance.
I'm even surprised he resigned. Considering the state of governance in the country, he should have done so earlier. Corruption, mismanagement of public funds, and poor governance are some of the issues plaguing the government. Maybe he is fed up with the government's failed promises. I expect journalists to investigate and review why he decided to resign. Knowing his party, the National Salvation Front, was an ally to the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party, we are now waiting to see what the future holds.
The resignation of Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari has sparked a national conversation about the impact of his resignation on the upcoming presidential election expected in October.
And now to one of our lead stories: shock and consternation in New Bell as at least 2 children have been confirmed dead here in Douala from food poisoning allegedly. Over 50 others have been hospitalized, and the children reportedly consumed locally made biscuits known as galettes from the hands of an individual well known to them. It was not the first time the said individual was offering galettes to the children. Investigations have been opened, and our reporter Mala Glory was in New Bell today. She tells us what really happened.
Tamko Sofo Max Belmont and his wife are still trying to come to terms with the death of their daughter, Tamko Honorina Makeda. The 5-year-old girl is amongst the over 105 victims of food poisoning reported in the New Bell neighborhood Tuesday, June 24th. 2 children were reported dead. He was only informed through a phone call that her daughter has been transported to the hospital in a critical condition. After questioning what happened, he was told the little girl consumed snacks from a local producer in the neighborhood. Another family, still a resident of this neighborhood, mourned the death of their 3-year-old Gangum Bobda Rose, who also consumed the reported biscuit known as meve. He is shocked that his granddaughter could die in such a situation, adding that her own daughter went unconscious after getting the bad news. Residents of this neighborhood say the man suspected to have poisoned the snack always shared leftovers to quarter children after distributing to business partners.
C'est un tonton du quartier. Je ne doute pas de la moralité de ce monsieur.
According to a release published by the director of the Lakintini Hospital this Wednesday, the hospital received 105 cases, 99 children and 6 adults. After initial care provided to these victims, many recovered and returned home, while others are still receiving treatment, and a 19-year-old girl is being treated at the intensive care unit of the hospital. They always collect snacks from this man, though the incident has taught her a big lesson of not receiving gifts from strangers. The remains of the two children have been deposited at the mortuary. Meantime, the suspect reportedly presented himself at the Kululu Gendarmerie Brigade and is currently being investigated.
And today has been observed as the International Seafarers Day. The seafarers use the opportunity to express some of the challenges they face in an effort to maintain order and ensure the respect of road safety measures during this period of holiday. The seafarers, Lucy Liengu-Tausos, used the opportunity of the International Seafarers Day to express some of the problems they face on a daily basis.
The life of a seafarer is filled with challenges that require both physical stamina and mental strength. The Gulf of Guinea, where Cameroon is located, is particularly vulnerable to piracy, presenting a serious threat to seafarers.
When you are walking in the sea, you are in risk. You have many accidents. You have piracy that they attack our navy or boat, and you are not harmed. You know, have gone.
This group of persons who work on the ship say unemployment, limited access to quality training further complicate matters.
One of the main difficulties is training. Training is so highly cost. Certification counts in the maritime industry. And Cameroon is a member of the board of directors, governors of Ghana. What are we benefiting if they cannot come and evaluate us here and renew our certification? Then nextly, the next major problem, creation of employment.
Also, the organization of the sector has had some loopholes.
Yes, we don't have vessels. That's the reason they will try to put forward. But have they gone towards the ship owners? And are we, the seafarers, well organized, qualified? The state too can go for negotiations with the ship owners.
These challenges were voiced on the occasion of the World Seafarers Day, observed on June 25th. The celebration in Bonanjo was in the presence of the representative of the Senior Divisional Officer for the Vuri Division, who awarded the meritorious workers with medals.
Our needs that we give to the government to think about these seafarers that have experience in this profession and think about navigation policy.
While commemorating this day under the theme My Harassment Free Ship highlights the need for better working conditions.
And in Yaounde, about 200 people have been arrested, and items such as flat-screen television sets as well as commercial motorbikes were seized by officers of the Gendarmerie Brigade of Lonkak in Yaounde. This was during a raid that was carried out at the Tinga Elobi neighborhood. Smart Njikan Gabriel completes the story.
A warehouse where stolen commercial motorbikes are hidden. We discovered a big store where stolen commercial motorbikes are brought and changed immediately. The National Gendarmerie is more than ready to fight against the criminality, and we are telling the men of the underworld that it is over and that things will never be the same again. Hard drugs, amongst them tramadol, marijuana, a flat-screen television, daggers and axe were some of the items discovered by officers of the Lonkak Gendarmerie Brigade during an operation in Mokolo, precisely at Tinga Elobi. We blocked the Tinga Elobi zone where we saw everything. What was lacking was the head of a human being. We managed to seize a variety of hard drugs alongside SIM cards used fraudulently and also daggers used for their private operations. The operation happening some weeks after some young persons armed with machetes and knives caused commotion in the Mokolo neighborhood saw the arrest of more than 200 persons. The success of this operation has been linked to the collaboration existing between the civilians and the forces of law and order.
Je dis merci aux populations
I thank the population who collaborated with us fully. We saw the operation recording a huge success as we stopped a network of criminals spread along 100 meters. It was frightful to see. The gendarmes are there to stop any sort of criminality in Yaounde.
Donc je leur dis merci et qu'elles continuent à nous renseigner.
The raid comes 10 years after the last operation occurred in the Chingae Lobi neighborhood. Gendarmes are now promising to be the people's keeper as they struggle to root out the bad seeds from the society.
Thanks, Matt. And that report brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Let's now move on to Talking Point. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Musoke Lucas. He is a political analyst. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting to be with us on Talking Points tonight. Now, the news of the resignation of Minister Issa Chiruma Bakari, longtime ally of the Biya regime, has been making headlines since yesterday. Do you see this as an honest choice by the minister or an interest-based decision by the politician? We are having some issues getting Mr. Musoke Lucas, who is talking to us from Boya, and we are coming back to the reported resignation of the Minister of Employment and Vocational Training, Minister Issa Chiruma Bakari, who is said to have tabled his resignation at the Prime Minister's office. That was yesterday. And you are our guest tonight, Mr. Musoke Lucas. Hope you are getting us right now. The news of the resignation of Minister Issa Chiruma Bakari, whom we know has been a long-time ally of the Biya regime and President Biya himself. The news of his resignation has been making headlines, that was since yesterday. Now, do you see this as an honest choice by Minister Issa Chiruma Bakari or an interest-based move by the politician? We are having some difficulties having Mr. Musoke Lucas tonight. Sure, we will be having him tomorrow. He's free. And viewers, that does it for this edition of the news. Thank you so much for being with us, and we sincerely apologize for the hitch there. Our programs continue. Equinoxe will be yours at 7 p.m. and the news in the French language would come up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television and see you again tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.